When storms gathered over the mountains, people whispered that Zmij was waking. He was not only a beast, but a storm spirit between sky, fire, and water. In some tales, Zmij guarded springs and rivers hidden deep in the earth. Lightning ran across his scales, as if thunder had taken a living form. Below, villagers watched in fear and awe, knowing the sky was no longer empty. He fought not only enemies, but the storm itself, bending chaos into rain. When he vanished into the clouds, the storm left water, life and relief behind. When mist touched the river at dusk, people said the Rusalki were near there again. They were remembered as water maidens, beautiful, sorrowful, and never wholly human. In the reeds and moonlit grass, their laughter sounded lighter than the current. Some tales made them keepers of springs, lilies, and the secret life of rivers. With wreaths and quiet songs, they turned the moonlit shoreline into a living spell. Yet beneath their beauty remained longing, like old grief hidden underwater. By dawn, they faded with the mist, leaving only shimmer, dew, and memory.
Before each first breath, the old Slavs believed Rod was already near. He was remembered as a guardian of origin, kinship, and living fate. At a child's arrival, his blessing was asked for life, health, and belonging. In him, each household saw its roots joined to those who came before. Through hearth and memory, Rod was linked with ancestors and the home. He belonged not to one house alone, but to the whole living clan. As long as generations endured, the old blessing of Rod endured with them. By still dark waters, old villagers warned that Utopiek waited in silence. They said he rose from mud and reeds, shaped by water, night, and loss. Most feared the silence first because danger near him never came loudly. Some believed he lured the unwary closer with silence, mist, and false light. Below the surface, his world was root, silt, and the memory of drowning. When the black water moved on its own, people knew he was close again. So they left old protections by the bank and kept far from quiet reeds.
On the cliffs of Arkona stood a temple where the Slavs believed a great god was always watching. They gave him 4 faces, because no single pair of eyes was enough for such a god. His white horse was sacred, and even its footsteps were read like messages from the divine. They filled his horn and watched it closely, believing it could foretell the fortune of the coming year. Before battle, even warriors bowed here, asking not only for victory, but for courage and right judgment. For the people, his worship was not only prophecy and war, but also bread, oath, and shared life. He looked toward every horizon at once, because nothing important was meant to escape his sight. And when the voices were gone, the cliffs still seemed to remember the god who watched in every direction. At sunrise, people said Rarag rose with the first golden fire of the sky. He appeared as a golden falcon, carrying warmth, courage, and living flame. In every safe hearth, a small part of Rarag's sacred fire was believed to live. Across forests and hills, his wings scattered sparks like seeds of light. His flame was not only heat, but courage placed quietly in human hearts. When people gathered around fire, they remembered warmth as a shared gift. After the longest night, Rarag's fire promised that light would always return. When black winds crossed the fields, elders said Rarag had left the hearth behind. He came as a burning hawk, a dark ember spirit riding smoke, ash, and storm. In older tales, he guarded hidden flames that could warm or ruin the world. At night, his wings drew sparks through the sky, like a warning no roof ignored. Villagers watched chimneys and rafters, fearing the ember shadow above their homes. When Rarag descended, flame and wind became one fierce omen in the dark. And when the blaze passed, only smoke, red sky, and silence remained behind.
When winter softened, people said Lada was already walking through the thawing fields. She came with blossom-warm light and the quiet promise that life could begin again. Where Lada touched the earth, flowers opened, orchards woke, and birds returned. Her name lived in songs, wreaths, and circle dances shared by the village each spring. She guarded courtship and weddings, turning young love into blessing and bond. In bread, honey, and bright hearths, Lada was felt as peace, beauty, and shared life. By sunset, the fields were green, and her blessing lingered in every home and path.
Deep in the old forest, people feared the path that led beyond human safety. There stood her hut on chicken legs, turning slowly as if it were alive. No measly text. Then Baba Yaga emerged, old as the woods and sharp as hunger itself. Some said she crossed the night sky in a mortar, sweeping away her trail. She did not always devour visitors. First, she tested whether they were foolish. Those who endured her trial might leave carrying a skull lantern of fate. So Baba Yaga endured as both terror and wisdom hidden under one roof.
At the forest edge, the old Slavs believed Joanna walked with dawn. She was remembered as maiden, huntress, and guardian of untamed woods. With her, deer stood fearless and the hidden life of the forest drew near. In her stories, the hunt was skill and balance, never empty destruction. She belonged to wild meadows, too, where herbs, wind, and freedom grew. By moonlight, she watched the pines and kept the old silence unbroken. Where the forest stayed free, the old people felt Jiwana's blessing. In the old stories, when a house grew too quiet at night, people said Kikimora had already entered. She was said to hide near the spinning wheel, where thread, labor, and fate were easiest to disturb. Kikimora was not always seen clearly, only as a shape in the corner, too thin and too still to be human. People feared her most in the dark hours, when sleep turned shallow and the night pressed down on the chest. Some said she came from the marsh itself, carrying damp cold and old silence into the home. By morning, her passing was known by small chaos, tangled work, broken rest, and a house that no longer felt right. So people answered her with old protections, herbs by the stove, thread, bread, and whispered caution. And if the house grew quiet again, they hoped only that she had stepped back into the mist, not gone forever.
At quiet dawn, old people said Berehni walked where mist touched the river. They appeared as gentle women of light, guarding water, land, and peace. Where they touched the stream, people believed the water stayed pure and kind. Their blessing was sought not only by rivers, but by houses and families. Mothers prayed to them for safe births, calm sleep, and a child's good fate. In songs and fields, they became symbols of harmony, beauty, and renewal. By sunset, their presence lingered in water, mist, and every peaceful home.